Hey everyone, happy National Wednesday! To celebrate, I cooked up something special for you. What the hell? For someone that grew up around video games, I'm still not very good at video games. But like anyone unfortunate enough to have grown up in the 21st century, my younger years coincided with the popularization of online video games. Ever since the Sega Dreamcast in 2000, ever since the Xbox and PS2 popularized online multiplayer off the heels of Halo and Call of Duty, playing online has become the go-to, if not only way to play many games. It's become so huge that it's a virtual necessity at this point for any multiplayer game not named Mario Party to offer online support. And with this ever-increasing popularity, online gaming defined a generation of video games, and personally created a lot of my most treasured childhood memories. But that doesn't mean I like it. Alright, that's an exaggeration, and I'll admit that most of my problems with online games stem from the fact that I'm just bad, so take my opinion with a grain of salt, I guess. But I feel like I'm being pretty objective here, because if there's one thing going online has taught me, it's that I'm always right. Before we jump straight into my struggles playing online though, I think it's important to talk about the setup. Because to many gamers, having the optimal setup is an important part of online gaming, rigging their sick gaming PCs with custom specs, mechanical keyboards, and the northern lights. I, on the other hand, tend to prioritize audio. Yeah, I never really got into customizing my setup. I've got nothing against it. I think it's cool to have a powerful PC that looks good too, and I do have a custom PC of my own, but honestly I just don't understand how any of this works. You'd think a computer science major would care more, but I just like the pretty lights. My GPA plummeted when I took a hardware course. Of course, these are just PC setups I'm talking about. You can also game online using consoles, but those don't have Aurora Borealis, so really what's the point? Now that we're set up though, we're ready for our first online game. Let's just hop into the game's matchmaker.
Yes! Oh my god, are you serious?
I regret prioritizing audio. Yep, it wouldn't be online gaming without some good old-fashioned toxicity. I looked it up, it really wouldn't. But if you've ever touched an online video game, you know all about this stuff. It's practically a rite of passage to be called gay in Call of Duty. Unfortunately, toxic players are an inevitability that we all just have to deal with sometimes, though I will say I feel like I deal with them a lot since my FPS abilities are equivalent to a trash can's. The gaming community in general gets a lot of flack for being not exactly super extremely pleasant to play with, but personally I'd say it's not as terrible as some people make it out to be. I mean, the average player you'd run into online is probably just an average Joe like you and Joe, but in many games there's just a handful of players that can pop in and worsen the experience for everyone. You never really know with these guys, whether they do it for fun or they genuinely care too much about the game, but as long as you can deal with being told to do various things to yourself once in a while, it's not too bad. You'll probably have more fun than the guy calling you slurs anyway, though I do sometimes wish I could have a more peaceful online experience. Too much salt. I do understand how it feels to be competitive and really invest yourself in a game though. I mean, no one wants to play apples to apples with me anymore. But my point is that taking games seriously makes them more fun for a lot of people. I've got a lot of respect for the esports players and speedrunners that really put in effort to perfect their craft, and even just playing online myself, I always try my hardest because not losing is fun. And while I don't really care about being the very best like no one ever was, I do feel bad when I play poorly, like I'm letting my team down. And I mean, I really felt bad when I would get disconnected from Overwatch matches for bad Wi-Fi and abandon my team, but I am no leaver. I know how annoying that is, so to try and make up for it, I've vowed to never leave a game early no matter what. It's been 3 years. Speaking of Overwatch, when I think online games, I always think of shooters first. They have dominated online gaming since the beginning and are still super popular today, but personally I've just never been very good at the genre and it's not exactly my favorite. I've talked about being slow in FPS games before, and there's not much I can really add to that discussion except that I'm still slow and I also have bad aim. Yeah, I like some of these games, but they always prove to be frustrating for me. Like, I always want to be good so I can be that heroic guy that carries the team to victory, but I'm sorry, I just don't have any accuracy with these guns. It's a pain in Mario Kart. Yet despite this frustration, I continue to try and fail to improve my skills in these games, like Sisyphus pushing a boulder uphill. Except the boulder's made out of guns, and every time I fail, Zeus calls me a pussy. I never quit though. Maybe it's for the good times with friends, maybe it's because every time a new game releases, I convince myself that this is the one I've been waiting for, the one where I get in early and hone my skills and become the superior player, the greatest of all time, only to rage quit on game 3 and go back to playing Yoshi. That same thing just happened with Valorant, which I just recently added to my list of FPS games I'm not good at.
Plan. Plan.
I mean, I sometimes wonder why I keep coming back to these types of games all these years of torment later, but as much as I rage, I really do have fun. Mayhaps there's a lesson to be learned here about accepting yourself and doing the things you enjoy, no matter your skill level. Or maybe I'm just rationalizing an addiction, I'll let you decide. But it's inarguable that having the ability to connect with people around the world enhances the experience in a lot of games. Whether you're reconnecting with old friends, meeting new ones, or just trying not to get hate comments, online video games enable people to interact and experience something together, no matter their background or distance. And it's that sense of togetherness that you just can't get from any other form of media.
Wait, you did it?
We did it, boys!
time,
Oh shit! So that's why I still play bad games. I'm in the middle of one right now. But anyway, after this little mishap earlier, I've decided to replace all the salt in my National Wednesday recipe with some of the least salty games I know. My house is on fire. Well, I can't just leave.